Sorry, I'm not able to come on camera. I'm not sure.
Okay, I think that's fine. Just a minute. Okay, so we can start, right?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Uh, okay. I guess finally I'm on cam. Feel free to be on cam. It would be good for all of us to see you so that we can assume that it's a virtual class. You can start, Prashant.
Yeah.
Quick introduction. I'm Saurabh Banerjee, working with Ensono. We have Shashank working with Cognizant. Surya, you're on mute. Unmute.
Yes, I was on mute talking. So, yeah, my name is Surya. I am with JP Morgan Chase. I have 12 years of experience in mainframe technology, along with modernization of mainframe as well. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great. What's your take on legacy mainframe application? Surya, let's start with you.
Okay. What is legacy? We all know, legacy means is kind of what we have in our mainframe system. It's kind of old, we can say but yeah, we named it as legacy, and now we are modernizing the mainframe itself. So basically, how we can leverage mainframe in current scenarios and current market trend, as market is moving to distributed system, cloud, and other platforms. So yeah, that's my take. Yeah, Saurabh, you go ahead.
That's right. Legacy, as we call it, generally it's like if it is more than few years old, it becomes a legacy, or maybe call it a decade old. But believe me, mainframes it's like more than 50, 60 years now. COBOL itself we celebrated 60 years, right? Few months back, right? So it's pretty much old. And also comes the challenges. Comes the challenges in terms of like we already discussed, right? The skills gap, people retiring, those kind of things. Now the question comes in. Of course, we already have covered in previous sessions as well. And the question which comes up in everyone's mind, existing or the future workforce. It's like how to make it as lucrative as the be it Java or AI ML or the latest trend. The simple answer could be in terms of having it, adapting whatever is coming up new. Okay. So Zoe offers the same modernization one, which gives us the edge over the legacy. So it provides a platform. So Zoe is a framework. So when we talk about framework, it is a platform where we can develop our own IDE. We would love to have IDE, right? I mean, it is like an IDE as a developer, as a mainframe developer. If I compare myself to, when I look at the Java developer, they have that Eclipse and all those things. So green, black screen for us, lucrative, GUI, graphical user interface for them. So here comes Zoe to save us from that, from a command-based to an IDE, interactive, graphical user interface. Okay, can we go to the next slide, Shashank? Fill it up and then, yeah. So this, fill it up, please. Yeah.
So this one we.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we talked about. So this is what the people would use Zowe for. You know, the same 3270 emulator that we have, it is, maybe it stays there for a much more longer time, but Zowe offers us much more better, multiple ways of assessing the same things. Okay. Yeah. So there are 4 components which Zowe offers. So Zowe is an open source. It is a framework which is provided. Typically, it is like, you know, it is all open source. It is from the Open Mainframe project. Okay. So there are 4 major components, main components of Zowe. Okay. So we have the CLI on the left-hand side. You can see the command line interface. Okay. And then we have the multiple extensions, out of which one of them is VS Code. Okay. The Visual Studio Code, which offers the ZOS Explorer and all things, and the web version of it. Using a simple web browser, you can access your mainframe stuff. So that's the web desktop. And to facilitate that, the 4th one is the main component. It's the API mediation, there. Okay, and of course, it is supported by the microservices and many other. Okay, so what we are going to cover for this particular session, it's just an overview, walkthrough of all these 4 components on a very high level. Okay. The next session, we would dig deep into it, dive into it one by one, that how a VS Code would look like, how you would actually, you know, explore. Right now, what we would see is just the pictures, and over there, that would be much more on a hands-on side. That's what we are planning. The same for the CLI and the web. Okay. Going on to the next one. So this is a much more, for me, it's like gives me a good clarity of what those 4 components are. On the left-hand side, you can see the RESTful services, the API services. That's the API that we were talking about, the API mediation layer. The next one is the command line interface. We call it CLI. And on the right-hand side top, we have the Zowe Explorer and the web application. Okay. Let's start with the Zowe desktop. So on the right-hand side, you can see the image. It is as simple as putting in your URL, you know, a correct web address with the port and every other details for the Zowe application framework, any of the supported browser. Okay, and from there we can log in. Okay, so it offers an environment wherein, you know, we can access all these US components. Okay, let's step back a little bit. Quick question on my mind. Feel free to ask questions also at the same time, please. Okay. Question on my mind. What exactly is Zowe? Is it different from what we have been doing in mainframes? The answer for me is no. It's basically the same thing. The interfaces is something like it is changing. We are adapting the new ways of interacting. The interfaces changes, giving us much more flexible ways to develop applications. Okay, the more interactive with the user, the more the user would like it, right? Okay, so if I have to remember 100 set of commands, and instead I just have to click around, you know, just compare it with a Swiggy app, okay, or a Zomato app. Would you prefer to remember 100 of, you know, commands to place your order, select your, you know, items? No, I really would not. But we have been trained like that in mainframes. It's easy for us, but not really while, you know, ordering any of our food or, you know, vegetables or daily needs. Correct? So that's what it offers. Okay. Any questions? I just pause here for a while. Any questions?
Yeah, Saurav, in chat window, I see one question. Is Zoe and IDZ are being used for same purpose?
Is Zoe, IDZ are using for same purpose? Okay, so there is an overlap. Yes, I would agree to it, but no, it offers more than that. So RDZ, it used to be IBM's RDZ, relational developer for ZOS. And from there, it developed to the IBM IDZ, IBM developer for System Z. So yes, it provides much similar way of interacting with the ZOS components that we have. Be it the dataset, jobs pool, JCLs, and all those things. Yes, you would take a look. Soon you would take a look, not only from the CLI, the command line, also from the desktop, and the third one is the VS Code extension or the Zoe Explorer. Okay. Okay. So here, the desktop, I want to touch base another thing. So the Zoe can go back once again, please. Thank you. So here, if you concentrate on this particular line, the Zoe application framework server. Okay, so you have to make sure that you understand what is Zoe application framework. Okay, so on a very layman language, framework, it is a platform wherein you can develop your own applications. Okay, so these are the applications which are built on it, and this gives us the opportunity, freedom, you call it, to explore more, develop more on that line. Okay, touching base again, it's an open source, right? So you can facilitate the existing APIs and at the same time create your own APIs as well. Okay. All right, let's go to the next one. So this is how the screen shows us on the left hand side. The Zoe, the login page comes in once you enter your all the the username, credentials, and everything. On the right hand side, you can see that's the look of a very basic, simple Zoe desktop. That's how it appears. Okay, depends again from customized version for any of your client, maybe, probably. Okay. All right, next. This is how it looks like for your MVS Explorer. On the left-hand side, you can see all your, PDS, your data sets comes in. You click on it, the right pane gets populated with all the, that particular data set contents. Okay, it also gives you the facility of, accessing your emulator, the 3270, TN3270, any of your emulator. Over here, it is more like 3270 emulator. Anything to add, Shashank, Surya? You're on mute, Shashank?
No, that's fine. I think we can move ahead.
Yeah, that's good, Shashank.
Okay. All right. I hope the speed is okay. You want to increase, you want to decrease, stay the same?
Yes, good.
Saurabh, Ankit here. I just had a very small question. So when we say that we can also use 3270 emulator, so is it like it will be pre-installed in the Zoe desktop, or is it like we have to install as per our requirement?
Gives you both. Gives you it comes installed. Yes, it is there, but again, when we talk about it, there are multiple ways we can install it also. Okay, so you have your GitHub, you can connect to it. Let's say there are extensions also. Let's say DB2 is not there, the Kix is not there. Okay, so the extensions are there on the GitHub. It's an open source thing. Okay, so we can get that extension. So GitHub something / and then DB2 or this Kix. I don't recall the GitHub URL, but you can get that. So that's the way you can have that. So 3270 usually comes with it. If you feel like it's not there, you can install it. You can get it.
Okay.
Okay. So why I'm saying both answer, because sometimes I've seen it is not there. Maybe some installation or configuration changes. Not an expert, so can't comment really on that. Maybe some installation configuration we can actually have that during that. So probably you miss out. You can add it, install it.
Oh, okay. Because why I was asking, because 3270 is a licensed product, whereas Zoe is an open source. That's what I was trying to understand. That is it like 3270 is like open source now? Are they availing it for free via Zoe? that satisfies one.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm saying I'm not an expert to answer you, but yes, most of the time you can get it. Maybe provisioned by the admins. So the licensing part and everything has been taken care of, or maybe you have to get it. So that's why both the answers. Okay. But yes,
Got
you are
it.
right. It's there is a license involved in it. Rocket, you have to get it from there. That's it. I mean, not a concrete answer I have for you. Okay. All right. So this is one of the a snapshot of how the MVS Explorer looks like, a close-up look. On the left-hand side, something similar. Just like I take a look at the the chat, the IDZ. It reminds me of that. On the left-hand side, you have all your data sets based on your access level, RACF level access and all. You can access your personal PDS and everything, and from there you can actually explore. Click on that, double tap, it opens up. Okay. Next, please. Just grab my. Okay. All right. Next, let's take a quick look on the command line interface. Okay. So, okay, here a little bit of information around it. The CLI is actually a interface again. It is basically a command cell. Again, a command-based thing, yes, but it offers a little bit of much more edge over what we have with the power of the shell, the scripting. Okay, and it is like across Microsoft, Windows, Linux, Mac OS, and everything. Okay, so they can call the Zowe CLI services in the same way as simple as issuing a shell command. Okay, going on to the next one. So this is how the CLI looks like, and next slides onwards, we would take a quick jump view of all the commands that you can run around. Okay, hold on, just hold back to that. Okay, so let's say you have your typical 100 list of commands. I do have to remember each and everything, right? Maybe if I forget, so that's a good way of asking. If you can zoom into that, you can see a hyphen help. It gives you the description of that particular command. This is nothing but the end. Yeah. So this is one of the Steven from the Zowe. So you have that Zowe and the help command. It talks about that. Yes, you have your description, usage, groups, details, different parameters, and so on. Okay. So using CLI, we can use or access all the things which are there in the ZOS. Okay, the ZOS components and all the things. Let's take a look. Let's list out the PDS, the data sets that we have. Can you go to the next one? So this is how one of the commands, again, it lists out the ZOS files. ZOS-files is one of the command parameters. It starts with, Zowe and then the ZOS files. Okay, and I'm asking them that, hey, list all members in Steven.jcl. This is again thankful to, the open mainframe project. I've captured this image from there. Okay, so this lists out that, yes, I mean, these are the PDS which is there. If anybody has worked on Unix, you would find it much more similar. Okay, so it lists out those files in a similar way, just like you have your shell scripts. Okay, and let's go to the next one. Okay, so here you can list out the jobs, submit your jobs, and at the same time, look into your output as well. Okay, so this is how it comes up when you are submitting the job. Your job ID, job name, what is the status, the return code. Instead of maxCC, we have RDT code, return code. Okay, and you have your status as well. Again, the CC does comes in. Any questions so far? So CLI gives us again a set of commands, but yes, it gives us the power of Unix shell scripting, C, bash, or anything on that lines. Okay, so using these commands or a set of commands in a shell script, we can do a lot. We can do a lot. Automation, in short, if I call it. Okay. All right. Let's take a zap on the next one, the Visual Studio. Okay. So Visual Studio, the VS Code that we call it, okay, also offers, accessing the mainframes. So Z or Z Open Explorer, through which we can access the Zowe, ZOWE, Zowe. Okay. Going on to the next one, you can see all the, the marketplace. You go, if anyone of us has used Zowe, on the left-hand side, we go to the marketplace and type in ZOWE. So the extension marketplace comes up with all the offerings. The top one which comes up is the Zowe Explorer. On the right pane, we get the option of installing. Okay. Yeah. So it's already, this shows that yes, this is already installed, and it gives the option of disable and uninstall. On the right-hand side, the two blue buttons, Shashank, if you can scroll, highlight these two. Yes, the disable and the uninstall. Yeah. Okay. So this is how we would be installing the, this one, the Zowe Explorer, and from there we can start. A lot of things goes on, and I'm just talking about, how it looks like. Okay. Yes, on the left-hand side, the circled one, that's the marketplace. You click on that. You type Zowe on box above, and then the Zowe Explorer comes in. Yeah. Any questions so far?
Sort of, just one out here that let's say we install this, but the mainframe server, which will be required for us to even dabble on, is that something that it's like only at the enterprise level, if you're working for that, then only we'll be able to procure, or Zowe provides any like a sandbox kind of environment for us to dabble?
I don't think so that Zowe would provide any kind of a sandbox. It would have to be yours. It could be your personal, if you have bought it personally, or the enterprise and the organization's one. Okay. So again, a lot of things goes in. It's not just easy click. And this is kind of like the client side of it. Client side meaning our local. Then there is a server configuration also. Okay. Next sessions we will talk about it. So the server part of it, few of the admin related configuration needs to be there. Okay. So setting up the IP address, it is already there configured for the mainframes so that the API can also convert. So that's what we have to open up. So the ports and everything needs to be, set up. So there's a JSON file wherein we have to put it. It's very easy, believe me. When I say easy, I didn't know JSON I'm not a JSON programmer or anything, but it's very easy to read through it and understand, just like COBOL. Okay. So that kind of a thing. Okay. So to answer you, yes, you have to configure it. You have to use your IP, no sandbox provided. Okay. Few of the trial version from IBM Z trials, they call it, Shashank, or what it is called. Maybe you get it from there, maybe.
Yeah.
So that's free of cost, I believe. But that's a tenured one. Some certain period, I think.
2 to 3 days.
3 days, yeah, 3 days. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So Zowe doesn't gives us a sandbox. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next one. So this is the ID. I really feel like maybe from free from the green screen. I would still miss my green screen experience and all, but yeah, it's a free world kind of a thing where you can click around. On the left hand side, all these things would come up. There are 3 different things that we are going to talk next. The dataset view, we have the the mainframes part, then we have the Unix, the USS, okay, and the jobs part. Can we go to the next one? Let's highlight that one.
Just to add one more thing, we have more extensions here provided, right, which all are open source. So if you can see for Rex language support, assembler support. So these all are open source only. Those are free. We can use it. So they highlights the code like how we do in other IDEs, right? So they tell you what should be the next keyword we can use. So those kind of things. Even debugger is provided here. We need to install those all things and we can make use of it. So Zoe is just one of that, and we have another things also provided. So some of them, if you see, are provided by Broadcom, IBM, SCL, right? So there are many extensions you can explore there. Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay, great. I just changed my headset. Hope I'm audible.
Yes, Saurav.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah.
you. All right. So this is how it looks like that I was talking about on the Zoe Explorer the view. So on the left hand side, you have the pane wherein actually you get the Explorer, just like you have your Windows Explorer. Yeah. So you can see the top one, which is like left hand side top, the data sets. The data set comes in, you click on the favorites. You can set your favorite with, there's a magnifying glass which comes in and you can actually put in your PDS, the high level qualifiers, HLQs that we have. And from there, it starts listing out. So let's say if it is WinCHJ, if I read it correctly, so you can put WinCHJ dot star, it would list out everything. And okay, on the second, yeah, this one is the Unix USS, the Unix System Services. So this offers the same thing for the Unix files that we have. That is again connected to the ZOS. Can anyone talk about, in a mainframes, in a 3270, a quick question for everyone except Surya and Shashank. So how we can connect from a ZOS screen, the 3270 emulator, ISPF, TSO that I'm talking about. From there, what is a command, a TSO command, to connect to the USS? Anybody want to, ping?
Is it TSOZOMVS?
Yes, TSO OMVS, correct.
OMVS,
So
yeah.
yes, yeah. So the same thing over here. We really do not have to do the TSO command, TSO OMVS. We can directly actually log in. Of course, there is a on the right hand side, bottom. If you can see, there is a terminal. You actually need to connect to the Unix box as well. Okay, on the right hand, down below. Yes, on the terminal. So this gives the access. You have to, you have the option of actually SSH command wherein you actually log into your Unix box as well. So both gives us the same thing of GUI as well as a terminal command based. Okay, let's go down on the left hand side. You have the jobs. Okay, so from the top data set, if you have your JCS, you can right click, submit, and you can have your output, whether it is running, active, or it has completed with all those 7 codes you can see on the screenshot. So that comes up. You click on that on the right hand side pane, the big pane, something similar comes up. Just like you have your COBOL code opened up, you can see your job spool, which gets displayed. Okay. Any questions so far? No silence. I really want to hear no or yes, or this is the question. Is it making sense? Yes, no. Except Ankit, I'm not hearing anyone. Another one came in. I sorry, forgot to. Good to go. Okay, thank you, thank you. Let's go to the next one. Let's get another screenshot of what we have for Zoe, this Zoe Explorer. Okay, so this gives a clear view of the the three views that we have, the navigator views that we have, the data sets, the USS part, and the jobs part. Okay, quick questions. Do you think we should have any other than these three? Mostly it is these three only, but you guys think that we should have this one as well? Can
Saurabh,
we
actually,
add?
like apart from this, right, you can also access CICS from Visual Studio Code via Zoe.
Yes, that's where I was asking for. Yes, perfect. Yeah, yeah. And at the same time, you also can access your databases as well. Let's say DB2, let's say Postgres or whatever, which is connected to your mainframes, or maybe probably outside the mainframes as well. So VS Code has
For
got a
accessing DB2 again, right, most likely you need to have a DB2 connector. Without that, just Zoe
extension.
won't help you.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So Zoe offers a a plugin wherein you can actually access the DB2 and the kicks as well. So you have to have that plugin. That's what I know. One of the options. Maybe there are more. One of the options that I have explored is using that extensions. Okay. Any other ways, Shadri?
No, you're correct.
Feel free to add more. We are just sharing our knowledge. Huh?
No. Yeah, so whatever I
not
knew,
not
I shared, right?
not an expert. I would upfront tell that I'm not an expert. Loved
No.
exploring it, found it really useful, so that's why sharing with everyone. Okay, so yeah,
Sure.
fantastic. Thank you. Okay, so this is again the screen wherein I try to put in on a few other slides, like on the left hand side you have your data sets. You click on it. On the right hand side, that gets zoomed out. Yeah, so you click on it, the contents comes in. You can actually right click on it and submit it. So this is one of the JCLs. Okay. You have to refresh. There are multiple options, pull from mainframes, many other options in the dropdown. So say, for example, you made some changes in the mainframes, but it is not reflecting over there. So you can have that the right click and many other options. Okay. So there are so many things that we can do, but we are tried our level best to capture the most essential ones, or whatever we think is can be a good point of discussion. Okay, so this talks about the submission, job submissions. You click on JCL, just right click submit. On the right hand side also, you can see the job got submitted, that particular message, job submitted, job ID. If I'm reading it right, 15530. It's quite small for me. Any questions? Okay, I have a question on the right hand side. How do we set the JSON for Zoe? So whenever we are installing it for the first time, even for a client side, I mean, for our local, so we need to set up the IP addresses and everything, which would be provided by your admin, of course. And from there, you would get it. The config files are there. So that's the JSON file, in which you have to put in your port, your IP address, maybe your user ID, the RACF IDs and all those things. So that's we would cover it maybe on the next sessions. Okay. Yeah, let's go to the next screen. So this talks about the spool, job submission details spool question mark. So here's the answer. You click on that on the right hand pane, all the details comes in. So far, any questions on from this particular the VS Code extension or the VS Code for Zoe? Any questions on that? Right. Thank you, Shishadri. It's a very good link. Yes, that's a very good go-to place. That's the link. You will find sections showing configuration on how to configure the Zoe Explorer. Perfect. Yeah. So many things can be done, believe me, using YAML, Ansible YAML. You can configure a lot. It doesn't restrict yourself. It's an open source. You can explore the length and breadth. It also gives us the option of having your own application as well. Okay, so when I say application interface along with your way of logging in and all those things. And believe me, if Zoe also loves it, they would like to commercialize it. Okay, maybe if it is like organization to organization, then it would happen. Conversation would happen like that. Okay, yeah. Let's go to the next one. Let's talk about the API part. Okay, now how all these things happens. Okay, so one of the facilitator are the APIs. So APIs, we have three different sets of APIs, the discovery services, the API gateways, and the API catalog. Okay. The API catalog, the name suggests, it is like a catalog of all the APIs which the Zowe API offers. You can create your own API also. What it does, let's take an example that, hey, I want to fetch a data set, using this particular command, let's say, or maybe a particular set of activities. Okay. So when I say I click on this, the API or the REST services should get, go and fetch the, the details for this particular user, authentication, everything happens, and from there, the data set should be displayed. So the API gateway is the one which actually, takes care of all these kind of requests. The API catalog is the one which actually stores all these, the API, a catalog of all the APIs that we have. Okay. So this is what the API mediation layer provides, a central access point for all your REST APIs, okay, especially which are already hosted in the ZOS. Okay, quick questions, from my side, if nobody is asking. I don't see any questions so far. Quick questions. First is, can I have my own, APIs? Yes. Second could be, why do I need an API? Why exactly? So one way of answering could be, the APIs which are already built in is serving most of, let's say the example which I gave, listing out a particular set of files from your, data set. Okay. So you may want to do it via an application. You may want to configure your own. That gives the flexibility. That's the one. Okay. Another question on my mind, you can see that it's RESTful API. Can we use any other? And I'm leaving it for others to answer. We have REST, we have SOAP, we have many others. Can we use that? Full silence. One answer I got it from there, from the chat window. Ankit says yes. Ankit, you want to unmute yourself and talk a little bit about it?
From the little knowledge I know that because there is no restriction of which, and is it like a REST or SOAP? But anyway, we are discussing on the topic of REST, so pretty sure SOAP or other types of API should also be allowed
Yes.
from the initial detail that they provided.
Correct. Yes. So that's where the the mediation layer, this API mediation layer offers. Okay. So any kind of discovery services or any kind of APIs which are already there, which is in the API catalog, the API gateway takes care of the REST services actually. So that's what I wanted to talk about in this. Thanks, Ankit. Okay, let's go to the next one. Next slide, please. Can we submit KICS transactions, IMS transactions via Zowe API? You probably might need to configure that if it is not there. So to answer that, or in other words, can consider Zowe API as a replacement of ZOS Connect? No. ZOS Connect is also there as a part of this particular configuration. So you have the ZSS, the ZLux that we saw in the initial slides. So those kind of things is already there. The cross memory and all those things we will talk about in the server configurations and the client configurations, maybe in the next sections. Okay.
No, like the ZOS Connect is a separate software that is provided by IBM for exposing all the mainframe assets and all, right? And with the help of ZOS Connect, we can expose a CICS transaction, IMS transaction to a distributed site, right? So what I was looking for is like now since Zowe is providing all these APIs, right? So now do I have this leverage of, say, I have got a distributed application, right? And through that, I want to submit a CICS transaction for performing my backend processing. My frontend is an Angular, okay, Angular page, right? So from there, for the backend processing, I want to submit a CICS transaction, and that will perform all my CICS, like backend processing, and again send the data back to the Angular, right, through a JSON. So can I do that with the help of a Zowe API or not? That is something that I was looking for. So there is something.
From a Zowe API, you need to have that ZOS Connect, I would say, in short. That's one of the options which is which facilitates already, which is there in ZOS Connect. Yes.
No, but ZOS Connect is a very costly software, no? So that's a very costly software. So
Yes.
that's why I was thinking, like, since with the like Zoe is open frame, right?
Yes.
So
As an
not open,
alternative.
like a open software, right? So that's
Yes.
why I was thinking that can we do that? Because that way, right?
Yes, you can.
The cost will come down drastically.
Correct. If you're looking for as a second option, you can have the extensions, the Kicks extension and all those extensions. Using that, you can leverage that. Yes, definitely yes. But can it match those kind of the features? That's a good question to ask, I would say.
That's a different, because like ZOS Connect is like a completely product focused on this, right? So it cannot match to that, but as a workaround, can we do that or not?
Yes, as a workaround. Yes, that's a good word. Yes, exactly. So not as a solution, but as a workaround. Correct. Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So when I say the meaning is something like there are a few limitations around it. Not as open or flexible or as strong as the ZOS Connect, I would say.
Okay, got it.
Okay, Shashank has posted something. Transactions. So he offers a Kicks plugin. Yeah, that's what I was talking about in the Zowe CLI, allowing the Kicks programs and transactions to run. Yeah. Okay. All right. So the mediation layer I was talking about, the API gateway, you have your discovery services and the API catalog, along with the security services, the ZSS, the security services. Okay. So catalog, it's a single place to explore all your APIs. You can create your own APIs also, and later on, it would be visible over here. You can read around it. You can, what exactly this particular API does. It's all on there. Same thing, GitHub. You can also have a good description of all those things. So Discovery Services offers the monitoring and all those things, wherein you can actually manage all those things. So it says based on Netflix Eureka, and no limited information around the Eureka. Okay, so API gateway, a single point of entry for all your APIs, accessing all those ZOS services, the API REST API services which it offers. Okay, all right. Okay, next one, please. Let's look into a little bit of details around it. So the catalog, this is how it looks like, a typical screenshot. The API mediation layer, you have your data sets, USS, Unix file services, and all those APIs. The job services, this is the API which actually pulls up, gets triggered when you are actually looking for the job related this thing. Okay, one quick question. So I haven't heard about it from you guys. I'm not hearing the question on this part. The OSMF. Has anybody heard about the ZOSMF? What is the role of ZOSMF in Zoe? Okay, let me.
That is the prerequisite, right? Without having a ZOSMF, you cannot use Zoe, right? You need to have a ZOSMF installed in your mainframe first.
Yes. So right now, most of the settings is via this OSMF services. The ZOS management facility, that's what we call it, the ZOSMF. It provides the RESTful API services, which actually connects the mainframes to the, let's call it outer world, the Zoe in this case. So that's the role of ZOSMF in very short. Anything to add, Shashadri?
No. Perfect.
Thank you. All right, great. Okay, let's go deep into it. Let's say the catalogs and all those things is just the same. The API commands get, pull, and all those post. Okay.
So, Saurabh, just one question. I know you were touching base upon all the US box, Unix box, and mainframe box. I had one doubt. If you remember, in mainframe, we set up some system libraries. We say that okay, this is my production library. This is what default library, all those, right? So, can I do that even via the IDE also? Like after I connect my mainframe box to this?
If I understand your question correctly, you're talking about the different environment, the different boxes, the development box, the UAT, the production, right?
No. What I meant is, like, let's say when we are logging inside the mainframe terminal, right? Let's say even it's the dev box, okay? So we have the option to navigate via ISPF screen, and we can say that this is my default library for copybook or for COBOL load library, right? Which the system refers, the job refers, right? So those
Nothing changes.
yeah, okay.
Nothing changes. Yeah, yeah. Nothing changes. Even your load libraries and everything would be the same. Nothing changes as such. Basically, it's an interface. I take it as this way. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is my perspective. The underlying system is still the mainframes. We are actually knocking at the doors of mainframes and getting all the information from there itself. Okay. So put it in a simple way, I'm putting a stencil on top of it and building my own UI, the user interface. One of them offered by VS Code is the Z Open Explorer. And using this, I'm accessing the same PDS, the same data sets, the same files, the COBOL files, the JCL files, and having the same structure. Actually, it is like whatever we are creating in the mainframes. Okay, so nothing changes as such. Okay, now a good question could be, let's say, I give you a scenario. Okay, I have my code repository, COBOL programs, PLI, Brex, doesn't matter. All your COBOL programs or these kind of files in mainframes. I'm accessing it via a GitHub using GitHub. Okay, in Zowe. So the storage I'm now going to ask about. So let's say I have a COBOL program. Let's call it COBOL program 1. Okay, so program 1, where all would it reside? The options could be mainframes. It has to be there. It is there. Okay, what other places would it be there? Would it be in your Z Explorer? The answer is no. It would not be there. But other than mainframes, where other places, what other places it should or it is there? Tell me. You got the question, or do you want me to rephrase?
The code can be in Git, right? So GitHub, Gitbucket, GitLab, you can have it, right? And do all your coding and everything, right? But again,
Correct.
for the compilation, right? At the end of the day, the compilation has to happen within mainframe. So after that, I need to push back my code into mainframe to do the compilation and testing and whatever, right? But for the source code, right? Say right now, right? So basically, right, the GitHub is what, like my source repository. So right now we are having all our sources in our mainframe, like say Endeavor, SCLM, right? So instead of that, I can have it in GitHub also.
Correct. Now, if I have the GitHub also as a repo, which is actually maintaining all the repository of that thing, so that's a kind of like a mirror image. Okay, any changes over there should also be replicated in the mainframes and the vice versa. Okay,
correct.
Meaning
So
mainframes
that,
and the GitHub. But
right.
do you know there is another place it is getting stored? There are 3 places actually: mainframes and GitHub. There is another place which is there on the
Between
Unix.
mainframe and see, like the okay. So
The
within
Unix one.
mainframe, right? And we need to have the Git client inside USS. So basically, how it will go right from GitHub, like that is in the display
The
side, right?
Unix.
From there, it will go to the USS in Git client, and from
Yeah.
there inside the ZOS, the non-USS
That's
side.
right. That's right. Yes. So the Unix is another place we are actually replicating it. So controversial question. That means a particular code is residing in 3 places. So 1 MB meaning is 3 MB. Is it right? There's a catch. That's why I'm asking.
So sorry, could you come again? What's your question?
So let's say COBOL program 1, hypothetically, 1 MB. Okay, so that means it is in 3 places. So we are actually spending 3 MB.
Okay, so now it depends on the usage, right? Say, for example, what's the benefit of having in GitHub, right? So if I keep it in GitHub, then I can probably implement DevOps, right? So
Yes.
depending on what is my business need, right? And based on that, we'll decide where I want to keep. Another way, right? So now see all this version controlling softwares, right? Endeavor, let's say, it's a Broadcom product, right? Very costly product. So now if I move the entire my source code into GitHub, right? Then I'm eliminating my Broadcom licensing cost. So here, though I'm increasing my storage, but still I'm benefiting from like eliminating my
Correct.
Broadcom licensing cost, right? And within
Perfect.
mainframe, right, we don't have shortage of storage. Or also like the cost of storage is much cheaper compared to the software licensing cost, right? So that we have to balance out that overall TCO, right, where I'm getting the more benefits, right?
Perfect. Yes. But what happens is the caching part also comes in to help us. Plus the way we are actually modernizing, it gives us the edge, for the applications to have a speedy kind of like a response, you can say. So any
Right.
changes which is happening, we really do not need to wait for a mainframe developer to actually log in and do the certain set of activities. You can click around, have your UI built up in that ways, which can do the necessary changes and carry out those development activities. So that's where also one of the advantages would be. Great. Thanks, Sashadri. All right. Any other things? Any other points? Shashank, Surya, Ankit, Sashadri?
Sort of, I had one funny note, which is like, is there any extension for a file kind of a thing?
I can't hear the last word.
A file.
Pilot.
File. I didn't explore. File actually gives us if I recall correctly, gives us the edge of having the VSAMs and all those things, right? The file structures and everything. It
Yes.
is. So it's very simple over there as well. In your this, I'm talking about the VS Code, Explorer, ZOS Explorer. You can set your limits also. So based on certain, again, I'm talking about the JSON file structure, wherein actually you can set your delimiter where how the file length and the file record length can also be there. So based on which it would come up, it would show up. Okay.
So there is an
VSAM,
extension. There is an
VSAM.
extension in VS Code for that.
Okay, you have to go
Yeah.
to the
Yeah, you have to install it
marketplace.
separately. Yeah,
Yes.
correct. In
Yes.
marketplace.
Marketplace. Yes. So VSAM especially, you might need another extension for it. Okay.
Can I
So you
add to
should.
what like both Shodav, you and Shashank shared to that? Can I add something?
Yes, please. Yeah. Feel
Okay,
free.
see, like, so as you rightly said earlier, no, like, we need to consider Zoe, right, for the Visual Studio Code as just another interface for accessing mainframe, the way we do through our emulator, right? 3270, right? Correct.
One of them.
And now
Yeah.
for this file aid, right? So file aid is again a separate software that comes, right? With the help of which we access all our files and all those things, right? So Zoe will not give us anything like that. But within Visual Studio Code, right, as Shashank rightly said, there are a lot of different plugins out there. So we need to go to the Visual Studio Code marketplace and search for those plugins with the help of which we can access those files the way we do with the help of file aid.
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
We have file manager for GOS for Visual Studio.
Yeah, also, one thing I wanted to ask the admin and all, right? Have any of you tried implementing DevOps via Zoe? This is something that I'm trying to explore for quite a time, but not able to do it. So just thought about checking if any one of you have tried it or not.
Can you? Is it GitHub? What exactly? DevOps. When you are looking for DevOps, what exactly?
DevOps like end-to-end DevOps, right? So for example, see, like with the help of Zoe CLI, right, we can submit jobs, correct? And also we can access the spool, and we can verify what has happened for a job that got executed, right? And we can see the output of the job, everything, right? So like, what do we do in a DevOps, right? We'll be say once a code is checked into GitHub, right? Then I'll compile it. Once the compilation is successful, right? Then I'll submit a unit test job. Once the unit test job has executed successfully, right? Then I can verify the output of the file. Once that is successful, right? Then I can promote the code to the SIT region and all this, right? And all this can be done via Zoe CLI, right? Because basically that I'm submitting a series of jobs and verifying the outputs in spool, right? So theoretically doable. Just wanted to know, like, if anyone of you have tried this or not, because this is something that I'm intending to try for some time, but not able to. So thought about checking if anyone of you have tried. No, then probably I'd like to get some tips and learnings.
I have used few of the BMC, BMC products on that lines. So that's something which is on the lines of VS Code only, but that's more which is like already developed, you can say.
No, so see, like that is already there from IBM side. BMC is there. Even Broadcom is also having that. But all those are licensed product, very costly. So with the Zoe, right? If you're able to build it, then it's going to be like an open source, right?
Do you have any specific questions you are challenges you are facing? We can take that up. What I have worked on is one of the the code pipeline, which is like much similar to what BMC offers, but back in the days I was with Accenture. So therein we tried one of the for one of the clients, they already used to have that the code pipeline. So wherein you actually can develop your code, okay. So which takes care of every other code management, or whatever the code management offers. Just like an Endeavor, it takes care of multiple versions of it. If on the same code, you can have multiple developers working on it. Then migrating, promoting from one level to another level, right? I believe.
And this code pipeline was built on what?
Come again, sorry.
This code pipeline that you was referring to, right? It was built on what? Like which all technologies
okay, that was something like on simple, what do you call it, as mainframes. But the similar thing BMC offers on the yeah. So Shashank, you remember that? I don't want to take the client's name.
Yeah.
Like if it's a BMC, then probably it will be Topaz and ISPW, right?
ISPW, something similar to the ISPW, yes.
ISPW, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has now a modern name as well, ISPW. It was CA after it changed, yeah. So something similar on that lines, yes. Zoe does not offer as such, but the the extensions using the APIs you can build up. The groundwork that I did for one of the products, you guys, if you have heard about pop-up mainframes.
Pop-up, yeah.
Yeah. So it offers one such, you can say, a pipeline connecting the mainframes to the GitHub, the data pipeline, code the data pipeline. Yes. Okay. So something much similar to ISPW, something much similar, but not on Zoe. No, not yet on Zoe.
So we regarding pop-up, can I ask one question? Though this session is not for pop-up, is it okay?
I can try to answer. Please don't mind.
Like a pop-up, what like a pop-up? Basically, what pop-up does? Like, is it providing a way to access a ZDNT in a easier way, like creating an emulator kind of, or a wrapper kind of on the ZDNT?
Correct. Okay. So ZDT as such is quite heavy. What pop-up is, which is a very light version, you can say, easy to install and spin up. It's like hardly 10 minutes. ZDT much more longer than that. Okay. And it also offers different flavors, on Azure, the Azure image, the Linux image, so those kind of things. This gives us the flexibility of putting it into the the Azure cloud as well.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
So I have a few more questions ZDT on that line. Probably like I'll check with you offline then on this, if
fantastic.
That's okay.
Sure thing. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Chisha.
Hey, sort of one question. Is this Zoe, this whole open source mainframe project, have you heard about being used in real time by any other company, or they adapting to it, or is it still in the way where we are experimenting in this? What stage would you put?
It is many years. It is quite old, believe me. There are many companies who are actually using it.
Okay.
I can't name them, but I mean, there are organizations which are using it. And believe me, in my organization also, there are client-facing teams which are actually using it. Yes.
Okay.
So it's not like just in development phase. It is actually productionized.
Okay. So in this case, sort of, if someone has to convince a client regarding that, hey, I want to utilize this environment, from your experience, right? Where do the clients struggle to get convinced on adapting this kind of a method? If you could recall from any one of the experience.
The hardest one I recall is the adaptability, understanding and adaptability. People struggle to understand the pain which actually gives, in just like first slide that we talked about, right? I mean, the skills gap, and at the same time, I mean, people are retiring, right? So that's where the challenge is, to make sure they understand that. Second is something like the modernization. Okay, people want to get modernized, but are not ready to go into the hard part, the struggle part of it. The implementation is sometimes for, it depends upon organization or company to company to adapt it. So that's a big challenge. They need to understand that first, and that becomes a bottleneck as well for modernizing. But that said, I'm going to contradict. Believe me, people really are looking forward for modernize to stay upfront, to stay relevant in the game of, in this particular race, the game of modernization. So they are willing to do that. The latest, easiest ones are not necessarily that it's always easy, but they really want to adapt all the things, but not sure of what exactly. So there comes the struggle that, these are the options, therein, these are the features, this is how you would, use it. So it's a technical debt that we owe to our system. The revenue is something like, it's always on the product which the organization can benefit out of it, once they start using it. And it takes a longer run, not like, hey, right now I'm using mainframes, I'm going to use the Zowe. What is the difference? How much time would you think that, what's the performance difference or what's the cost difference? That's where the real struggle of making them understand is. It's like over the time, the break-even point comes in. So that's where the phase of actually making them understand that, yes, it's not an easy thing to compare, not like apple to apple. It's like apple and oranges. But yes, it's basically the mainframes only.
Okay. And from a security standpoint, sort of like, do you think even in that also the questions will be raised by the client, like how can you confirm that if you're using that it's a secured environment?
Correct. Yes. So that's where the configuration or the client side, sorry, my bad. It's the server side configuration which you guys need to work out. The ZSS, the secure services, one of the components. There are many others which you would have to highlight that, yes, that's there. Multiple other products which offers the same on the same lines. You should also explore ZMFA. Okay, if the organization is ready to pay, of course, have to buy it. Okay.
Okay.
Not a proper answer, I know that, but it's not a small answer also, that yes and no kind of thing. I hope you understand. We can take it offline also to explain more.
Yes, sir. No. The reason why I asked this question is because I have seen this been existing for a lot many years, but what I'm just trying to understand is that from a adaptability perspective, right? Whether the clients are, because as we were deep diving into it, we understand that there are setup from the developer side, but also from the server side, right? So in that
Correct,
case,
yes.
if I have to bring in such a new way of work, then I have to then like it's not just in my organization that needs to do the configuration, but also the client side, the configuration would also come, right? So that's why I'm just trying to understand the adaptability presentation. Yeah.
Okay. So once the admin role, takes care of the server side, the client side configuration is as easy as simply like, installing. That's why I showed that particular slide wherein you can actually install install the VS Code, go to the marketplace and simply install Zowe, ZOS Explorer, sorry, ZOS Explorer. From there, you can actually start using it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, to enable that, the main part, the server part, needs to be configured, right? It should be able to receive in certain ports and have the connectivity set up. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Great.
Shall we move on? Yeah.
Yes, please.
I think last slide is pending.
You want to cover this, Shashank, please? So what all we learned? So today we explored about, just a high-level view of what a Zowe is, what all offerings that we have as a part of Zoe, the four major components. Okay. So we touched base about the CLI, the command line interface, the Zoe desktop, right? And the VS Code. So what is Zoe? How does Zoe works and why modernize? So those are the things that we covered today. Great, fantastic sessions, everyone. Any questions? Reach out to us on WhatsApp group or any of our personal chat. Also, this is what we have. We have few polls and quizzes which is coming up. Okay. Anything to add, Shashank, Surya?
Yeah, fine. I think maybe next session we can have a go through via Zoe Explorer, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah,
I plan to do so.
and any one of you are interested to share their knowledge, right? It would be very great.
Yes, Ankit and
anything.
Shashadri, they were quite active today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ankit and Shashadri for
I think Shashadri left.
Oh, okay. Anyways, thanks to all of you. Any questions still? We can take it up. Anything to add? Anything to ask? Feel free.
Just one. Do we have any extension for TWS as well? For
Trivoli that part?
Workshop.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't recall that, but something workload. There is an IBM one which is there. I'm not able to recall, but yes, WLM if I'm not wrong. Workload manager. I'm not sure. I really have to check that. Not an expert yet.
Okay.
But yes, WLM must be there. It is.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
You can explore that. Yeah. Any other things to add, guys? Any other things to question? We don't have anything in the chat.
Okay. One last. I know that from a modernization standpoint, we typically hear about Azure, Amazon, and Google Cloud as a destination for all clients, and the success stories also around it. But is there anyone that you have heard regarding usage of Red Hat, like basically the IBM solutionizing of entire thing of hybrid, where they also have a cloud provider who they can help us to modernize. So is there any other client who are also have modernized in such a way that they are able to migrate to the cloud by entirely using IBM products?
I'm trying to recall a couple of them, but not able to do so. But yes, there are good success stories around it. Maybe we can connect offline and I try to explore and get the answer for you. That said, IBM actually supports, any, believe me, the Azure, the AWS, or the GCP. Okay, no preference as such for IBM. That's what I can say with a disclaimer that I do not know much around them. Okay, but yes, it's quite flexible. There are client success stories on those lines. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Great. Any other questions, guys, before we complete this session? All right.
I think no, sort of. I think in chat we have one question. Given two options, rehosting and this way of modernization, how appealing or convincing is this? Rehosting is a different thing, right?
Okay.
This is yeah. There is one question from Rajdeep.
Okay, given two options, rehosting. Yes, please.
Yeah, Rajdeep is asking rehosting to modernization. Modernizing to other platform, or we are doing this one, modernizing using Zoe. How convincing is this? So suppose there some clients do not want to move from mainframe itself, or they want mainframe as their core system. They can leverage this one. Rehosting is entirely different thing. Yes, Saurav.
Okay. I see one question, which is like the version controls tool, and I had a look up on this. So Git actually provides that. Git Lens, you have already the GitHubs and everything, Git Graph and everything. So I just took a look that Git integration with actually takes care of the version controlling. Okay. So you can get a lot many others from the marketplace as a plethora out there. But again, offers you have to configure. Now, another way of answering this question, what is the existing one? It's the same as what Mainframe offers. That's what it mirrors, you can say. Okay, as a default one. But gives you the flexibility of configuring your own, developing your own. All right, great. Let's explore any
Okay,
other questions. Yeah,
I think we don't have any more questions.
Okay. Fantastic, guys. Thank you so much for participating, hearing us out, talk about the Zowe Explorer and all those. Feel free to reach out to us. We would be coming up with the next session with a little bit of hands-on around all these things that we talked about today on Zowe. Look out for the next message then. Thank you so much, guys.
Yeah.
Thank
Take
you
care.
everyone for attending this session.